And there's a confirmation of Bruno Fernandes breaking the Manchester United assist record, although I think when David Beckham set that, an assist record wasn't even a thing. But anyhow, he's in the form of his life, isn't he, Bruno?
Yeah, he is, and since he's gone more back into a number 10 role, I think his performances have improved, his output has improved, and he's been a joy to watch. He really has, and he's the best player, I think, in the league this season. I think he's been that good. So if you look at him here, the positions he's taken up now in this number 10 position, it's very difficult for the opposition to pick up. So you see Aston Villa have a lot of bodies in the middle of the pitch. He's very clever, he pulls out wide. You can see Cunha. Cunha knows the minute this ball goes into him, Bruno's got the quality to put him behind and put him in the goal. And he does that. It's a great pass. The way to pass is excellent, and it's a wonderful finish from Cunha again. Look at Bruno here. He's scanning. He's always aware of where the space is around him. Now here, nice little bit of skill. Simple pass, lays it off. The ball goes out wide to Cunha, who has a good touch. But Bruno never stands still. He's always aware of where the space is. He comes into the middle of the penalty area, where he's in space again. It doesn't come to him, but Sesko, good finish. And then look at Bruno here, a little bit annoyed he didn't get on the end of that one. But this clip here, I've played in this position, so I know exactly what's going through his head here. He's almost playing as the second. Well, he is playing as the second striker. Before, when he was playing where Maino is, he's in the middle of the pitch. He's a lot of bodies around him. As Aston Villa go forward, the midfield players for Aston Villa, they follow the ball, and now Bruno is in a very difficult position for Villa to defend against. He's got acres of space. Sesko sees he's got time on the ball. Great passing behind the game with his left foot this time. And then the less said about that one, the better.
Move on.
But again, in this number 10 position, here he is, way to pass again. Cuts Aston Villa apart, follows his pass, tries to get on the end of the cross, but it doesn't come. And here, willing to run in behind as well. It's a great ball by Ugarte, just a little bit overhit, but he's willing to run in behind. So his performances and everything about him this season, I think, has been brilliant.
You know when you showed that clip where he would have been with Amorim, but he stayed where he was. How hard is that when you are playing that position to not go back in and help defensively and actually hold your position and benefit from the freedom?
Yeah, it's hard if you're in possession and you're not on the ball, but when you're actually defending, you see he's in a position where if he stands still, Aston Villa players are doing his movement for him. They're moving with the game and they're moving with the ball going forward. But by standing still, if Man United then win the ball, it's what you say, don't switch off. Correct. So he's in a position where he's waiting. If Man United win the ball comes into him, and then with all the clips we've just shown, players run off him. The minute ball comes into him, players will run off him.
It's also the balance with Mainu and Casemiro, because they're doing a really good job behind him. Now he trusts them. If you look at his movement, what Wayne showed there, he was on the left one side, he was on the right, because now they've got the balance. When they played the old formation, it was very difficult, because when you're in the two, you've got to go, but you've always still got to get back as well. Now he's got that protection that allows him to roam and do exactly what he's been doing.
But that was a problem under him, because he was playing in the two midfield, but he was also left and he was also right. So when he lost the ball, there was big gaps in the middle of the pitch. Now they've got that two players who are consistently behind him. They're playing the same team. There's only really one change we're seeing under Carrick, which was Sesko for Diallo. So the consistency in the team selection is also helping.
Well, let's look at that, and then we'll come back to the Casemiro-Mainu axis that's behind Fernandes. That is a big difference, isn't it? To go from over 2 changes per game under Amorim to less than a change per game under Carrick.
It's as simple as that. More points, better formation. The players are used to the formation, and you're getting better results. When I did a piece earlier in the season, I was talking about Amorim. It's not that the players are not good enough. I think the players at Man United are very good players. The problem was there was in positions what they wasn't used to with a manager who was being very stubborn on only playing one type of way. And you will always get results because you've got quality players. But when you put them in the right formation, you get even better results.
Just to go back to the Casemiro thing then, the crowd were chanting today, 1 more year. They did have an option to exercise him for another year. They didn't take up that option. Would you revisit that?
I would now. I said early on his time at Manchester United, I didn't think he quite had the legs to get round. I think a few people felt the same, but I take that back. I think he's been absolutely fantastic this season.
But again, we go back to the formation. If he's playing in a two with Fernandes and Fernandes is going to get the ball and explore and create, he's going to be left alone. The difference is him and Mainu doing the job. And you don't even have to be amazing in that position. You just have to be disciplined. And that's exactly what it works.
Would you revisit it and see if you could get him to stay?
100%. Because he's so good on set pieces as well. And just experience. He's been at Real Madrid. And to have that experience in the dressing room. And not only that, his performances. I think he's owed that now.
Yeah. What's actually come through in all of this chat is the importance of the midfield. So when you flip it to looking at Villa and where it's going wrong for them at the moment, 3 straight defeats in the league, it's that area, isn't it? And that's through no fault of Unai Emery.
Yeah, I think it's not only that. I think the amount of games, they look very tired. Losing Tielemans, who's the one who creates something, defensively astute and knows exactly where to be. Kamara also. And Cash as well, with his energy up and down. So you look at results and have not been good enough in terms of the last 3 in the Premier League. They've lost the last 3, obviously, the Chelsea game and the Wolves game as well. But they look tired and they've got key players missing, but it's no fault of Emery. I think they'll be back.
Right.
Yeah, really big. I thought before the game that Manchester United would win. My actual only concern, it was actually a question that I asked Michael Carrick before the game when we spoke to him, was that this 11-day break that they've had. Look, you can build it as having time on the pitch with the players, but then there's a lack of rhythm that you build in your competitiveness, and just having too many days in between sort of matches, I think, can be a problem sometimes. And maybe that's what we saw in the first half, a result of a quite disappointing 45 minutes from both teams. The game didn't really get going. I actually asked a couple of fans in there when I went into the toilet outside, I said, what do you think? They said, boring. And it was just a little bit like, Ahmad had the header. There were 2 or 3 really good crosses put into the box, but there was a real lack of urgency. We'll come on to Villa, obviously, shortly. But for United, it was a must-win today. And I think it was really important that they showed some sort of level of performance, because I think in the first 3 or 4 Michael Carrick matches, there was a really high level of performance where I was really excited. And then in the next 3 or 4, the results were there, but the performances weren't quite at the level. And that can happen when you're sort of playing matches and you don't always play at sort of a real high performance level. But eventually, when you play 60-40 matches, 50-50 matches, and you're winning them, eventually you will get caught out. And that happened against Newcastle when they obviously lost their last game. So I thought today, the results the most important at this stage of the season, but I also thought it was time to show a performance. I thought the second half, they were really good. And I think Bruno had a massive impact on that. But I think, look, I always imagine what managers will say to players at half-time. I know Michael Carrick pretty well. He's not going to go in there and start shouting and screaming. But I think he'll be quite sort of firm with them at half-time and say, look, lift it. Get your urgency right, get your tempo and your passing right, do things quicker, get to set pieces quicker, get to corners quicker, throw-ins quicker, demonstrate sort of what would be an intent to the opposition that you're up for this and that they're not going to get away with it. And I thought from the very first minute in the second half, the first 5 minutes of the second half, United were really good. And I thought Bruno, to be fair, you could see him, he was just getting to the ball quicker, he was moving it quicker. Far too many times, and this is actually not a Manchester United thing, I'm sick of seeing teams have defenders on the ball at the back rolling their foot on it. A defender should never, ever, in my mind, roll his foot on the ball at the back and be looking at the game as if there's some sort of Beckenbauer or Koeman type figure. They're not. There's no Beckenbauers or Koemans out there on that pitch that can play 60-yard passes and sort of dictate the game. Very exceptional centre-backs, I would accept rolling their foot on it. I just see so many times the Villa centre-backs on the 6-yard box with Martinez. I saw the United centre-backs taking far too long on the ball. Get the ball with accuracy and speed into the best players in the pitch as quickly as possible. And that is, to me, what United should be about. The second half, or the first half, they didn't get the ball into Bruno Fernandes anywhere near enough. They didn't get the ball into the front 3. I think Mbeumo only had, 10 or 11 touches, and none of them were in the right areas of the pitch. Similar with Ollie Watkins as well, by the way. But in the second half, Bruno Fernandes got on the ball in dangerous areas very quickly, and he got himself more involved as well. So it was a complete difference in shift. But that can happen when you're not at the game for 11 days. You sometimes can come out there just rusty. Simple as that. It's like when you've not driven maybe for a couple of weeks, 3 or 4 weeks, and you're away on holiday and you come back and you just think, oh, get your bearings back. It's a little bit like that, and I think that's what maybe United were suffering in that first half. But Michael Carrick, I think, will have had a firm word with them about basically those simple basics of playing with more urgency and speed. And I thought when United actually did get the tempo up, I didn't think Villa could sort of what would be level with them at all. Yeah, and it's a really good day for Manchester United. Thought Bruno Fernandes was exceptional in that second half. He was brilliant.
The first goal was scored by somebody who, in all probability, if United are in the Champions League next season, won't be here to play in it for them. Is Casemiro, like Fernandes, a standard setter here, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, look, he's got such vast experience. Obviously, Manchester United have been getting him at the latter part of his career. You imagine when you see him now, well, we know, because we watched him win 5 Champions Leagues, what he is an exceptional central midfield player that played in one of the most dominant central midfields that you'll ever see. An amazing midfield up at Madrid. But United, it's right that United do let him go, and it's right that he does leave United. This is like a cameo at the end of his career, almost like a swan song, where he's probably loving every minute of this, and you can see it. He's showing his badge, he's sort of kissing his badge to the fans. The fans absolutely love him. And it's right that he does leave at the end of the season. They will miss his presence in both boxes. I think that he's phenomenal at getting on the end of crosses, and I think he's phenomenal at clearing them. He's brave, by the way, in the air. He's really good. He gets up early. It was an exceptional goal. But United need 2 central midfield players in the summer. You know, in the transfer window last August, they rebuilt the forward line with Šeško and Mbeumo and Cunha to go along with the likes of Fernandes and Ahmad. And that's really now starting to sort of hum a little bit, and it's starting to purr. And you can see that there are real goals and real threat, because Manchester United haven't scored enough goals last season. That's the absolute no here. You have to score goals. So they've corrected that in the sense that, you know, with Bruno Fernandes creating, even Mason Mount I would throw into that when he's fit, there does look to be good options up top. But the centre of midfield is a problem. I think, to be fair, Mainu and Casemiro do